Morning, dear community. So everyone is invited to feel home. Yeah, if you can feel home, it's our great success. Home is in Plum Village definition is a sense of being grounded, being settled and fulfilled in the present moment. We will listen to 3 sounds of the bell to deepen this state of mind. Yeah, you happen to have kind of still unsettled mind. You may like to take refuge in your breathing. You just breathe in. You become aware of your in-breath. And you are aware that, like the guided meditation which is offering, we identify that we have a body. Going home to our body. And with the out-breath, we can be aware of this environment, this space that we share together this morning. And throughout the 3 sounds of the bell, we will also practice wholeheartedly taking refuge in our breathing, and we will maintain this spirit of collective practice of breathing together for 3 sounds of the bell. We breathe in such a way that we feel home. We feel settled in our body, and we are present for ourselves, for our friends around us, and for the sound of the kids, for the humble lights in the hall, for the fresh air in the morning. This is how we generate together as a community. So once again, please sit in the way that you feel the most comfortable, the most relaxed, and invite your beloved ones to listen to the sounds of the bell with you. To invite every cell in your body to enjoy the sound of the bell with you. Breathing in this way, it brings us a lot of nourishment and joy and peace. Breathing this way is slightly different than the excitement that we enjoyed the World Cup final yesterday. So please enjoy it together, the 3 sounds of the bell. Dear respected Thầy, dear noble community. Yeah, let's begin with our World Cup final game yesterday. I believe many of us, we were there watching the World Cup final in the hall. You raise a hand? Wow, the majority of the hall. Yeah. Were you expecting like on the arrival day, when you just arrived, you get treated by Plum Village brothers watching the football final? Yeah. You may feel like, wow, the Sangha, the community is so revolutionary. Offer people a chance watching football, flowing with the joy of togetherness with the world. Or you can say, oh, okay, this is the first time that you encounter football watching meditation in Plum Village, observing our mind, how excited we become, how sad we become when our favorite team loses, or how excited we are when our team is winning. I want to ask our friends from Spain. And I am a football fan, so I also tried different excuses to say that watching football in the monastery together with the community, with the bells of mindfulness reminding us from time to time, it's not something too bad, right? We get challenged with our practice sometimes. And thank you for choosing Plum Village to enjoy the final, the World Cup final, yeah? Instead of at a bar or in your home or at a resort, you choose Plum Village to spend the week, to enjoy the World Cup final, regardless of the. I think as you were informed before your arrival that on the wide scale we are facing some slight heat waves that are happening here and there in Europe especially. You still commit to come and to spend a week with us, with your whole family, regardless of not very favorable conditions. You come with a very strong awareness that you will have the simple living, simple conditions of your stay. And you may feel unpleasant a little bit when the weather is hot, or sharing the room with others that you don't know for the first time. Many comforts that you have to sacrifice. You just to commit to come and spend a week with us, no matter this is your first time or this is your many times. So let's collectively offer gratitude to one another by coming and trusting the community. We feel very grateful. Even though summer is always tiring for us, we know that we have to. This is our most highlight retreat that we have every year. Each monastic, we always give an extra effort to run the retreat and to make sure that everybody's well-being is provided in the best way that we can. So actually, the monastics get nourished very much with your presence, yeah. And I know that, like just sitting here and looking to the audience, I know I can recognize many familiar faces, which means that you come here before, you've been here before, and you continue to come and to take refuge in the community. And we know that by returning to the sangha, to the community. We can there's a call inside of you. There's a call inside of you that you really want to revisit Plum Village, revisit how you used to breathe when you were here, how you used to be advised to walk. You can revisit how you walk, how you breathe, and you miss the sounds of the bell for sure. You miss the sound of the bell. You miss the feeling of stopping and breathing while listening to the sound of the bell. Because the outside world that you're living, in my personal and humble observation and contemplation, we used to be in a certain environment where you have a certain definition about the world that you're living in. In the Buddhist psychology, we define the world that we used to live outside based on names and forms. So when you were born, you go to the kindergarten or secondary or high school or primary. Concepts, ideas, notions, skills, or way of looking at things were built in certain ways. The world, the education, the academy, the environment that we were living in offers us certain ways of perceiving the world. And so this is a flower. This is the hall. And when you get injured, for example, somehow you automatically know how to handle. When you experience a kind of headache, for example, or stomach ache, you somehow know how to handle it. And I feel that the achievements from science really defines the world that we are living. And we also inherit a lot of new findings from the society, our ancestral insights, and social insights as well, that I feel that in some aspects we can have a better life. We cannot deny the achievements, new findings from science and from our land ancestors, our ancestral ancestors. And it somehow forms a way of looking that, okay, this is the world that I'm living. I am not sure whether this is a bit abstract to you, but there's a definition that latently, implicitly forms in your mind. That, okay, this is the world I'm living. I need to have my timetable on this 2026. At this month, I will go here. I will spend 1 week in Plum Village, and the rest I can also plan. At what time of the day I will do this, I will do that. So somehow this way of thinking is there. We gradually form a sense of definition that this is the world that we are living in. Does that make sense to you? Yeah? And in Plum Village, when we come here, when we listen to the sound of the bell, we're supposed to stop, right? Stop and breathe, and being aware what is going on in our body. When we walk, we are also invited to practice mindful walking. There's a sheet, a shine-up sheet, posted in the residence of the brothers, yeah. And in the sign-up sheets, the introduction was about the practice of walking without talking, and it was nearly full signed up by our brothers. So as long as we walk, we commit not to talk, and this is an optional, recommendedly optional practice. And when we eat, also. We also invited not to eat our thinking, not to, but really eat the carrots, really eat the pasta, and try not to talk. So these invitations, these recommendations will somehow bring us to a new experience of living, of how you live. So let me put a humble assumption that in the outside life, without a spiritual dimension, our life is based on concepts, notions, or ideas. We know that this is an orchid. This is an orchid. We know that this is our friend. We know this is our suffering. We know that this is something that we've been struggling with inside of ourselves. The emotion, the loneliness, the grudge, maybe, or the hatred. Each of us, we do have seeds inside, seeds of joy, seeds of sorrow, seeds of despair, hopelessness, and also seeds of hopefulness. When we get introduced about the practice of listening to the sound of the bell, or walking mindfully, eating silently, looking into the food, we get introduced about a new way of looking at things, which is called, I can just put it as the deep way of looking. When we enjoy the freshness of the flower, for example, you know that it is also made by other elements, right? This is what we get offered from this deep way of looking. We know that through the orchids, you can discover sunshine, you can discover the rain, or looking at your sorrow, your loneliness, your grudge, your hatred. If you are mindful enough, you can also discover that they may come from your ancestors. There are intergenerational trauma. Who knows? It may come from your parents, from your grandparents. And this is what the spiritual dimension can offer. You don't only define the world based on what you see only through your eyes. You're offered another eye, which is Dharma eye, to offer you a capacity to look deeply into each phenomena of the world that you are receiving. So maybe I would like to invite the community to enjoy one sound of the bell. And in this one sound, you may like to return to yourself. And you allowed whatever that is happening in your body, whatever that is happening in your mind, to manifest with your acceptance, with your inclusiveness. No reaction, no analyzing. Just allow them to manifest in the way that they are. And smile, try to smile to whatever happening in our body or in our mind. Thank you so much for your practice. So when we come to Plum Village, you know by intellect that you should walk differently compared to how you used to walk outside, right? When you breathe, you're also supposed to breathe differently. Like the way you walk or you breathe outside. When you take care of an emotion, you also have time for it. You don't underestimate the fact of taking care of our emotion. Whatever is that is happening in your heart, you get offered different practices to take care of that emotion. This is going deep. This is functioning our life not based on concepts, notions, or ideas. This is doing a revolution towards yourself, the internal revolution. I know that you come with your kids, with your children, or with your family members or extended family members. You used to spend time with them, right? If they are like under 6, it's like day in, day out, taking care of them. No time for yourself. You consider that this is your time for the kids. And you said it. You have that kind of mindset, constantly thinking that way. But in Plum Village, you are invited to discover how you're supposed to be with your children. Is there any difference? Because this morning when you receive the orientation for the kids, you know, okay, by this time you can release your children for the brothers and sisters to take care. And by this time of the day, you're supposed to come and pick the children up. Something like that. But the question here you may like to ask yourself is, how do you want to spend time with the children? Is there any difference that you want to practice spending time with your children? Is it your duty as a mother or as a father or it is a practice, it is an enjoyment that you can do? Are you able to identify the time with your children as if you enjoy the time for yourself, or you consider it as a duty, as a responsibility? And this is another way of living. Even though we know it by intellects, even though we know it, if we come to Plum Village many times before, we know that whatever activity of the day is supposed to be the practice invitations. Every activity that we do, it is the practice. So in the monastery, the invitation is always there. And when there is a mental formation that comes up, you can ask yourself how much understanding you have, because you've been with the Sangha for a long time, right? For some time, you read books, we practice with the community. We can challenge ourselves a little bit. How much success that we can attain when there's a suffering that comes up in our mind? And how is our understanding about that pain, about the suffering? Because understanding, it really sets our mind free. When someone has enough understanding, it can bring about great liberation of the mind. So our practice of mindful walking, mindful eating, mindful eating, walking, they are conditions for us to develop our understanding. And these questions are very important. How much you understand your suffering. It's been there in you for a while. And how you've been practicing with that. In order for the transformation, for the joy, for the liberation and healing can take place in just a week of practice with the community, I think each of us, we want that, right? It's not like we just want to spend a week in Plum Village for some rest, for some connections, for some monks, some monastics that we get to know them before. It's not only that, right? I think there's in our hearts, there's a more profound call from within, which is transformation, which is healing, which is developing our understanding about our own issues, about our own concerns, and with the support of the community, it is possible. In Plum Village, we, in order for those possibilities to be realized, to be possible, it is based on three characteristics. In the first characteristic is uninterrupted. Our practice should be uninterrupted. Every single moment that passes by is an opportunity. The moment you are sitting, you are smiling to the flower, they are all opportunities. You can turn a moment considered as normal into a sacred moment, into a beautiful moment, into a joyful moment, into a moment of gratitude, if you know how to shift your mind. So the practice should be uninterrupted. We learn how to look at the flowers differently. You may like to look into the flower and discover, because you have time, nowhere to go, nothing to do, right? Why don't you enjoy the freshness of the flower? And when there's a sense of pain and suffering from the past that manifests in the present moment, these are also opportunities for us to practice and to be without pain, without suffering. How do you embrace that? How do we practice with that? How do we deal with that? How do we live in harmony with that? I think we all know by intellect. By many times coming to Plum Village, we know what to do. But we can ask ourselves how much understanding and success that we have obtained. This is a question, this is a test. And you are the only one who can answer those questions. Because there's also a mindset in us that we know already. We know already. And the world, our life that we are living, it offers us a certain understanding that day in, day out, it forms a way of thinking. And it forms a habit of thinking, behaving, or doing. And sometimes we know it's right. We know that, okay, I know it already by my intellect. But we don't really ask ourselves, are we sure that we can take care of that emotion good enough? So the practice of uninterrupted tells us that every single moment of the day can be the opportunity to practice, can be invitations to practice. The second is the present moment centered. It is for the present moment. It is for the sake of the present moment. We run after things because we don't consider that what we are having is enough. We feel that we're still missing something, that's why we run after. There are 5 objects of desires that in Buddhist psychology we define, which are fame, sex, power, food, and sleeping. So these are 5 elements that prevent us from finding our true nature. And we run after because we're missing. But in Buddhist teaching, we are enough. We are having enough conditions to be happy in the present moment. There's no need to run after those desires to fulfill happiness, because the more we run after, the more suffering we can cause to ourselves and to others. So the keywords of our practice for this week, and as a collective energy, we practice to remind one another. Every time you listen to the sound, you hear the sound of the bell in the dining hall, telling us about the next activity, give yourself the whole being to enjoy the sound of the bell, because you know that this is the opportunity for you to really going home. When you practice walking meditation formally with the community, or when also you walk, in the campus of Hamlet, or whenever we walk in another Hamlet, because there are days that we will travel to New Hamlet and Lower Hamlet. We should walk in the way that okay, my way of walking is somehow different than the way that I used to walk outside. Our steps should to carry within itself qualities of nowhere to go, nothing to do. Are you able to do that? Yeah? You should have that, because in Plum Village, we are offered conditions to do that. I know, I used to be in the subway. I used to be in Paris. Lately, just a month ago, I was in Paris and I went out for retreats outside and have to be in the city environment. I know how challenging it is, right? For us to enjoy the walking meditation. I know that when I'm out there, I felt I felt the practice of walking. I felt the practice of breathing. I felt in terms of recognizing what's going on in my body and my mind. Because how challenging it was. So I feel that we cherish the moments, we cherish the present moments. We are in the favorable conditions, environment. And if we don't do it now, when? So Plum Village always shares about simple practices. It never gets old. This practice, next year you come, you get introduced about these basic practices again and again. There's nothing much about that. But every time, every visit that you come to the community, you know there's a difference that is happening. Maybe in your way of walking, there's more quality. In your way of breathing, there's more quality. And this in your way of there's your way of thinking, your way of taking care of your emotions. There's a difference in there. And this is called the fruits of the practice, the seniority of the practice. So we can enjoy it one more sound of the bell. When we walk in the monastery, we try to land in every step. We practice to arrive in every step. And after we feel that we are able to arrive in our steps, we may want to last this experience as long as possible. When you want to do that, you know that the combination between your steps and your breaths can help. It builds up concentration of walking. If you know how to combine with the breathing and the walking, you just breathe in normally and you see how many steps you can take. The breathing really nails, really anchors our awareness of the steps. And for the out breath, when you breathe out, you can just naturally be aware of how many steps you take. This is for our friends who come here for the first time, to really understand what is the practice of walking meditation, what is the spirit of walking every day. We do like this. Yeah? And it is not an old teaching for friends who have come here before. We know it by our intellect. But now ask yourself, in every day you may have 10,000 steps or even more. How many steps that are in the zone of mindfulness? How much joy that you feel by walking? How much feeling at ease when you listen to the sound of the bell? This is for long-term practitioners. We should ask ourselves that question. We consider, I know walking, I know eating, I know listening to the sound of the bell. But we can ask ourselves, how much joy? Because the practice should bring about joy. If the practice doesn't bring about joy, it's not correct. Yeah? So when we breathe in and out mindfully with the sound of the bell, we do the same way. We ask ourselves, how much joy, how much feeling of groundedness that we feel within ourselves. The last part of the sharing this morning that I would like to introduce to you, that I want to bring up some reconsiderations throughout the week that we stay. The first is taking things, conditions for granted. Taking things for granted. I am also a young practitioner, and I know that there are also a lot in me that I need to practice and transform and become a better monk. But there's a sense in me that I'm quite confident about, which is being 9 years in Upper Hamlet, nearly 9 years in Upper Hamlet, or nearly 20 years as a monk. I never get bored of the community. I never get bored of the Upper Hamlet. I always tell my friends, no matter they're lay or monastics, that every single corner in Upper Hamlet's campus, I find them sacred. I find them full of taste energy in there. Even though the little rails in the forest, in the woods, or the campus, or the kids running around, in summer, every single phenomena that is there in the present moment in Upper Hamlet, I appreciate them deeply. I feel so joyful. I feel so nourished by being able to live in Upper Hamlet. I never think of changing the center. It may happen in the future if there's a need, but I feel like in here, it offers me too much conditions to be a happy monk. I enjoy the simplicity as a monk. And even though our community is still growing, and there are aspects that we must improve. Yeah, if you stay here longer, as a long term, you may discover that we are still growing, we are still improving. Yeah, we are not perfect at all, and we will be ever perfect place. Yeah, but and to be honest with you, there are some formal sessions of walking I struggle a little bit whether I should come or I should not come. Because in me, there's also, okay, I have something to do. I want to do this, I want to do that. And I sometimes fail with joining the activity. But I never underestimate that every time I can walk with the community or I can sit with the community. So in us, 1 week that we are here, I would like us to do a deep reflection. What you're having right now in terms of your spiritual legacy, heritage, are they enough for you to be happy? Or you find them normal already because they are cells in our brain, that function the way that day in, day out, we have that become less valuable. That's for sure. And that's a tendency of part of our brain functions. So we are not careful. We can easily take things for granted. Are the beloved ones that you hold dearly in your hearts, are they still there in your life? Is that only condition enough for you to be happy? Or even more simple but crucial condition is you still have a bright eyes. You have a strong, in good condition feet. And you have some amount of Dharma in your hearts already. You have your own insights. I know. Whenever I join the Dharma sharing, I learn so much from friends' sharing. I learned so much, to be honest, because the sharings were so insightful. And you have that. And are you able to be happy with that? And those insights may be transmitted from your ancestors, from your parents, who knows, right? Because you are here right now, it means that it proves one thing, that you have something. And you have conditions to be happy. We are enough. We have enough conditions to be happy. So this way of looking will encourage us not to take things for granted. The conditions of the Hamlet, the conditions of the beautiful energy of the community, if we are not happy in this environment, where else we are happy? So every sound of the bell that you hear, every step that you make, it carries within this reminder, not taking things for granted. And there's a little bit more challenging practice that I want to bring up is usual way of thinking or doing or speaking. Every day in Upper Hamlet, you may promise to yourself that you encounter someone for the first time in the day, you may like to join your palms and offer that person a bow. Can someone do that? If you feel inspired, yeah, you can just apply this exercise for yourself. Or every day, when you read someone for the first time in a day, you may like to languish reading that person in such a way that can bring them inspiration and joy. Loving speech practice, starting with the day. And the most critical one is our thinking. I find it challenged for myself sometimes. What I want to go deep here is our usual way of thinking. For you to see that, okay, this is a flower. This is my sorrow. This is my suffering. This is the olive tree. That is the oak tree. Or this is that person. That is the person that I've met for the first time. And that person is my friend. I met him or her many times. So we have this usual way of thinking, identifying person based on names and forms. But the invitation, the challenge that I would like to bring up is the aspect of deep way of looking. Is that person really that person? Is that person existing outside of you? Or are your children outside of you? They are just there? You think so? Are they just there? Or this orchid is always just there? How you want to spend your time with your children? Are you able to become one with them? Or you still see them here and they are there? This is a bit Zen, but I don't think this is difficult to understand. As a mindfulness practitioner, we get offered conditions to break through, have to go beyond forms and appearances. Is there any possibility for our children to be in ourselves? Is there any possibility for the orchids to be in ourselves? In Buddhist psychology, if your mind is not there, the orchids cannot be there. So the orchid and you coexist. And this is advanced Buddhism. You come to Plum Village to also get offered this as well. Not only for a week of rest. Not only a week of rest. You can very well go further than that by the practice of looking deeply. Whenever you experience a feeling of pain, of loneliness, are you able to identify and work it through? Because we used to define our life in a certain ways. And apparently, the way that we used to doesn't really work, right? If it works, you may not be here because you feel okay, I'm okay. Yeah. But when you come here, there's something amiss in your heart. There's something amiss in your heart that you want to fulfill, and we get offered this. Every phenomenon that we pass by every day, every mental formation that we encounter every day, we get invited to challenge our usual way of thinking. We can ask ourselves, are we sure? Are we sure that the orchid is the orchid? Our children are our children? Or is there any space for the practice of looking deeply? When we can look deeply, the joy is very profound. I notice that every morning, whenever I can manage to, I know that I learn a lot from my brothers, even brothers who just ordained for a year or two. Every morning, my neighboring room has a newly ordained brother. And every morning, he always sits still, light up a candle, burns sage, and enjoy his cup of tea. I look over, and I saw how nourishing it was. I copy. Even though I am much senior, but I know that I need this kind of setting. I need this kind of setting, and also set a table in the veranda of my room, and I do have tea. I do have the incense. I do have the candles. Why don't I just make a similar setting like him? And the moment that I sit down and enjoy my cup of tea in silence, it was so cool. It was so nourishing. And I know that this is a moment for me to look deeply. I look at the greens in front of me, and I observe the atmosphere of silence in the early morning. I discover so many things, but that by my words and by my humble English capacity now, I cannot explain them all to you. I know my language is not enough yet. So I encourage us to generate those moments in your life throughout the week that you stay here. They are very simple, but they are very advanced. if you can achieve that, you encounter Buddhism in another level. Yeah, and when you can develop your understanding, you know the understanding can crumble our afflictions, our sorrows, and our suffering. Understanding and love are keys to remove suffering, to transform suffering, and to change our way of looking at the suffering. We used to consider suffering as something bad, negative, but with understanding, acceptance is there, inclusiveness is there, and it is possible if you know how to manage your day in such a way that you can experience the moments where you can look deeply into your life, into your own hearts, into your beloved ones. The last, I think it is similar for what I have shared. Besides the reconsiderations, I do have some invitations. It's already mentioned. Full interest. We invited to have the full interest to and as I was sharing, experience the deep aspects of life. I hope this one is not so abstract for you to understand. Last but not least, be with the pain and suffering in harmony. And the second, last but not least, it is generating joy. Here is very easy to generate joy. If you're Spanish, you are still excited and joyful right now. You know, your joy, your transformation are the main nourishments for the monastics. Yesterday, Brother Phap came to me, said, tomorrow you give a talk, right? Yes, I said, yeah. Bring them home. Yeah, Sam, bring them home. And he was asking, hey, how was your Dharma sharing family? Oh, it was so nourishing. People transformed. I'm so happy, you know. And you know that his joy, he was sharing that with full interest of joy. He was so joyful. He was so happy sharing that to us. So we want you to know that your happiness and joy it relate to us very much. Yeah, I feel that part of my stubbornness remaining as a monk till today is thanks to the joy that I experience, that I witness in each of you. I have some very good connections with lay friends, even though each of us we cannot we don't know all of you because it's just too crowded for us. But we appreciate so much your presence, and it becomes our main nourishment actually. With witnessing the transformation, the healing takes place every week, every retreat that we organize. So thank you so much for your commitment for this week. And we know that our children will have a week with the Sangha. You have a week with the Sangha, which is very wonderful for you, for us as well. My heart is full of gratitude right now. Thank you so much. It ends with 3 sounds at the bell.